Hello and welcome back to 10,000 Stitches podcast. Let's start with something in my throat. Great. I think this is episode 103 and I apparently have not recorded a podcast since October. So fair warning, we'll see how this goes. But my name is Andy. If you were looking for me on the interwebs, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry as Purlbug, Purlbug. You can find my blog at thepurlbug.com, and then we have the 10,000 Stitches podcast group on Ravelry. If you're looking for anything that I mentioned today, any like patterns or any shops or anything like that, everything will be linked right below the video everywhere you're watching. So if you're on YouTube, there will be links in the description box. If you're on the blog, everything will be linked right below the video. And if you're on Ravelry, everything will be linked right below the video. So it's been a while, kind of. So if you were watching Vlogmas, it hasn't really been that long because I just wrapped up Vlogmas yesterday. So for those of you who did watch Vlogmas, thank you very much. And as promised, I am recording a podcast today. But if you are not into Vlogmas, you really haven't seen me for real episodes since mid-October. So really quick, just to catch anyone up who, again, wasn't watching Vlogmas, what's been going on in my life. So the last couple months of 2018 were just crazy for me. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that, I know I mentioned this, but so I was leaving my job in Virginia, and at the same time, I was also trying to finish up a degree that I was doing while at the school I was working at in Virginia. So I was taking 2 courses in fall semester. I was teaching sort of my normal load. I was job hunting. I was trying to get ready to move. Just like a lot was going on, which is why I didn't record any podcasts. So I finished up my classes. I graduated with my certificate and I found a new job and I moved to Alabama. So this is my very first podcast from Alabama. So just a lot happened. And again, if you want to see some of that in real time, you can go ahead and watch Vlogmas. I will try and remember to link to the playlist with all my Vlogmas from this year. It's been crazy, and hopefully 2019 will be a little bit more chill, not just for me, but for a lot of people. I know a lot of people had just sort of a rough 2018, and I can't tell if that's because things are objectively tough or if it's just sort of like I'm now in that age range where it's like, like my friends and I just all have these like real adult problems that no one's gonna solve for us, and so it just makes life a little bit harder. So I don't know, but here's hoping 2019 is a little bit easier on everyone. So back to podcasting. And speaking of podcasting and 2019, some things are going to change, and I don't exactly know what's going to change. I do know that I want to try and podcast more frequently. And so I'm going to be streamlining my process, and, I might just sit down sometimes and just have a chit chat, and it might not be as structured as it used to be with like really well-defined sections. I might not follow up every week on every single project. Like, if I want to record more frequently, maybe I'll just talk about whatever it is that I've been working on, and maybe the episodes will be closer to, 30 minutes, which would be great. It's easier on me to record. I feel like it's a little bit easier to watch. I've always kind of preferred a little bit shorter episodes, so we'll see. I know that the sort of structure of the knit-alongs is also going to change. Again, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to change, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So for now, let's stick roughly to the old structure. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about some projects that I've been working on. And again, if you've been watching Vlogmas, I apologize for sort of some repetition there. I also apologize for the horrible lighting, as per the usual. I do eventually want to get like a nice sort of podcasting setup. I don't know if that will be in this apartment that we're currently in, or if we might wait to do that until we get to a new place. But I would kind of like to have something with like maybe proper lighting. Like I'd like to get like some real lights that I could use for filming. So we'll see, but we'll work with it today. So I'm going to talk about a couple projects. Again, I'm not going to rehash every single thing I've done since the last time I recorded. So I'm going to talk about whatever it is that I'm currently working on right now, which basically I showed this off a couple days ago on Vlogmas, but I bought this huge basket, which is way larger than I was originally looking for. But I bought this big basket to go in our living room to sit next to our couch so that I can kind of put my current whips into that, since I like to sit on the couch and work on them. And that way it kind of corrals everything. So I'm basically only going to be pulling stuff from in here. So I do have some other projects that are kind of on hiatus, let's say, right now. So you might see those a little bit later. I kind of will talk about them whenever it is that I pick them up and work on them again. But I'm gonna talk about what's in here, and yeah, we'll do that. So I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But I kind of want to put this thing right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull some stuff out of here. I didn't ever fully finish talking about these on Vlogmas, but I had decided kind of 11th hour to make some Christmas stockings, and these are what they look like. I have a project page for them on Ravelry, which I will link to in case you want to know the details. Basically, I write out the pattern for them there, except for the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I used a Fish Lips Kiss heel on these, but I mean, you could sub in any short row heel you happen to like. And these were knit out of Woolies, Lion brand Woolies. And again, I have the specific colorways on that project page, and they were knit on US 9s, which are 5.5 millimeter needles. And I had planned to knit 4 of them. I have 3 of them. The other one I have the yarn for. I realized I wasn't going to quite make it in time, and Christmas plans got a little crazy. So these will be ready for next year, and hopefully I will have the 4th one done by then. I just need to get up the gumption to work on it again. So that's sort of a work in progress, sort of a finished object, kind of confusing like that. Let's see, moving down. So this I talked a little bit about last night on my very last little clip of Vlogmas, but this is my granny stripe blanket, which I know I don't show off all that much, and I probably won't show it off again for a while, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this. So I have not made a lot of progress on this since the last time I showed it off, which again, I don't remember when that was, but I know that I moved this little progress keeper up to wherever I currently was at the time. And I have maybe done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've done 11 rows since then. And like 3 of those are within the past 24 hours. So not a lot of progress has been made on this. And like I was saying on the last episode of Vlogmas, I would like to be making more progress on this. Like, I know kind of the nature of scrappy projects is that they just take a while, and I'm fine with that, but I want this. Like, I want, especially now that I'm living in Alabama, where, you know, a sort of a lighter blanket like this is actually useful to have on a bed. I want it finished. So I'm going to make it a serious goal to like finish this in 2019. I would love to have it done by the time we buy a house, which hopefully will be next winter, right? Like, that would be so cool. It would be to have this done to put on our bed in our new house. So right now I have this much, which is not very much. This is maybe about 12 to 15 inches worth of work. So I need to like really get my button gear on this. So I'm going to move my progress keeper up to my top row. And my goal for this is to average about 1 row a day. Does that mean I will be crocheting on it every single day? No, probably not, but I have plenty of magic knot balls, and so whether I do the whole Scrappy Sunday thing and devote 1 day a week to like working purely on this, or if I try to do more so like 1 row every morning, I don't know, but my goal is to get some progress made on this. And so maybe I'll show it off like once a month or so, and we can kind of check in and see if I'm actually hitting that goal of about 1 row a day. But I really love it, and I really want it to be done. Like, I enjoy the process, but I really want the thing as well. So that's sort of my first work in progress, which is becoming a work in progress again. Like, I am determined to make that something that I am working on regularly. Another whip that's in here is a pair of socks, and these are something that, again, I talked about on Vlogmas, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this is a toe-up sock, which is using a chart which was on the Fussy Gussets. So the Fussy Gusset is their Instagram name. I don't know if that's their Ravelry name as well, but they showed these socks off on Instagram, and you know, people were commenting like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, what pattern is that? And she, I'm assuming it's a she, I'm pretty sure it's a she, said like, oh, it's just sort of my own design. And she was kind enough on her project page on Ravelry to post the chart for the pattern. So based on that, I am making these socks, and I'm just going to put a Fish Lips Kiss heel on them because that's what I do for toe up socks. But it's this really beautiful sort of, what size is the camera on? It's this really beautiful sort of staghorn cable. Anyway, maybe I'll try and get a picture of these so I can put that in so you guys can actually see it up close, because I'm sure the lighting is not helping things. But it's this really beautiful sort of staghorn cable with some seed stitch on the side. So it's not super complicated, and it's only a 6-row chart repeat, which makes it super popcorny. I know you may not believe that with how far I am, but that's because I've been sort of a little bit scatterbrained and working on other things. But I totally am loving this. I would highly recommend it. Again, like if you already kind of know how to knit socks, like if this isn't your first sock, I think this is a great pattern or a great chart to add to, you know, sort of a vanilla sock. And the yarn that I'm using is one of my hand-dyed yarns. And this is a 75/25 BFL nylon base. And it's sort of these pinks and green speckles and purple speckles and stuff like that. And this is the first of my Make 9 for 2019 projects. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, we are making progress already on my Make 9. So that's super exciting. And this is being knit on a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. And the way that I did this is and again, I put this on my project page, so I'll try and link to that. But I cast on toe up, and I basically did the standard toe that I would do for a 64 stitch sock. But because of the cabling on the front of this, I didn't want and because it's not going to be a gusseted sock, I wanted to make sure it was a little bit more room on top. So I continued increasing on the top side of the sock until there were 36 stitches. So it's a 68 stitch sock with 32 stitches on the sole of the foot and then 36 stitches on the top of the foot to account for the cabling. Hopefully that made sense. So yeah, I'm super excited for this one. And again, it's like a nice sort of little bit mentally involved project, but not too mentally involved project. So it's good when I'm, you know, just kind of chilling out and I want something to work on, which is not just vanilla. I want to actually be knitting rather than just keeping my hands busy. But speaking of vanilla socks, I do also have another vanilla sock in here, and this is one that I really need to get back to working on, because this sock I'm calling my, what is it, Cover the Gap sock, I think. And again, I talked about this on Vlogmas, but I will be starting my new job next week. And so I'm kind of trying to think about like, well, what do I want to wear to work? Because I don't really, like, this is always the first day of work problem, right? Like, I don't really know what sort of the acceptable stuff to wear is. And so I figured I would wear a dress, but I hate wearing tights, and it's not warm enough here to not wear tights. Plus, I don't feel like that's appropriate for work. But I recently have discovered leggings, and like, I have never been a big fan of leggings because I do not like when people wear leggings as pants, right? Leggings are not pants. If you're wearing leggings, your butt should be covered, because 90% of the time, the leggings that people wear they aren't actually covering their butt, right? It's like, I can see your butt through those leggings, and I don't think that's appropriate. But I like to wear leggings as tights, basically. So I've been wearing them under dresses, and I feel like that's an appropriate thing to wear to work because they're black leggings, black dresses. Like, you wouldn't know they're leggings unless you were looking way too close, which is not appropriate for work anyway. The problem is that the leggings, between the leggings and the shoes, there's like about a gap of about that much, right? And so it's like, okay, well, what do I do here, right? I need to sort of blend that whole thing in. So that's what these socks are for. And as you can see, there's a little short sort of leg. It's about 30 rows, and then heel flap and gusset. And then after the gusset decreases, I blend it into another more fun color. And that's what I'll knit the rest of the foot in. But this way it sort of covers the gap between the end of the leggings and the top of my shoes, and will make it appear to be all one color. So again, you could notice it if you were looking pretty closely, but you really shouldn't be looking that closely at my foot ankle region. So yeah, that's what this is going to be. I'm not entirely sure if I'll have enough of this yarn left to do the second one with the same sort of foot color, but since they'll be in my shoes anyway, I can pretty much do whatever color I want. So this top black yarn is the Deborah Norville Serenity sock in just the black colorway. And then this is a mini that was gifted to me. So I'm not exactly sure the colorway, but it is a sock yarn. So, and I'm again knitting these on a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. So yeah, and otherwise it's basically just my vanilla sock pattern, so nothing special about that. But yeah, that's that, and that is basically all that's in here, because this is also in there, but this is just the stuff for the stockings. So yeah. Like I said, like these are not my only whips, and you know, I've had FOs between like the last time I recorded and now, and I frogged things and all that kind of stuff, but those things will come up when they come up, I guess. So let's talk a little bit about what's kind of coming up. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with this, because I did talk about this on Vlogmas, and I will link to that specific episode, because that specific sort of day of Vlogmas is a little bit more knitting focused. Like there's not a lot other than this sort of chat that I had, but I talked a little bit about my take on Make 9. And I'm instead of picking like 9 patterns that I want to make, I picked 9 things out of my stash. And my goal for this year is to use those 9 things from my stash. Partly just because, you know, they're things that have maybe been in my stash a while, or they're things that I sort of have not been, you know, feeling motivated to use. And so like, I want to keep my stash small. And so it's like, okay, well, for new things to come in, old things got to go out. So that's sort of my take on Make 9 for this year. And again, I will link so you can watch more specifics about that. But so that's sort of guiding some of my ideas on like what's coming up. Like some of the things that are moving out of my stash, I have patterns already picked out for. So like, you know, that'll sort of be guiding some of my decisions. I also do still have a couple of works in progress. Like I have my Rose Candy, which is a Martina Bem pattern that I need to get back to. I have a Traveling Cables hat that I need to get back to. So for the sort of near future, I want to limit the amount of decisions that I have to make about my knitting as much as possible. So I'm going to try and get my whips knitted down. I'm going to try and work on that Make 9. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see when I'm feeling, you know, bigger patterns. Again, right now I'm just not feeling it, because I'm still just like, things are still just a little crazy. Like I'm still sort of settling into the apartment here and trying to like figure everything out. And then next week I'll be starting my new job. So I'm just kind of trying to limit the amount of brain power that I'm expending on deciding what I'm going to be knitting. So hopefully that made sense. But speaking of things moving in and out of stash, let's talk a little bit about dyeing. So I had not been dyeing for a while, partly because of just, you know, the craziness with the move and everything. And I just hadn't really felt a lot of mojo for it. And I also had run out of bare yarn. And so I think as part of their Black Friday thing, I ordered some yarn from Knit Picks, some bare yarn on the Felici base, which I really enjoyed dyeing the Felici base. I really enjoy knitting with the Felici base. Like I think if I mean, obviously I would never want to do this, right? But if it was like a deserted island kind of thing and I had to pick one specific base to only dye and knit socks with, or, you know, right, fingering weight things with for the rest of my life, I would probably pick Felici, because I've just been really impressed with the way that it holds up. It takes dye well, it's soft, you can use it for socks, you can use it for hats. It's like, it's good for next to skin, but it's still plenty tough. So like desert island base, I would probably pick Felici. So I ordered a 20 pack of bare Felici. And I've been dyeing it. And I don't want to talk too much about this because I don't want to get people too excited or anything. But I am thinking maybe the Etsy will reopen in 2019. And so some of the dyeing that I've been doing has been trying to sort of, because I'm taking things in a new direction, right? If I'm selling yarn again, I'm going in a little bit different direction. And it's no longer going to be only these like one-of-a-kind kind of skeins, because my aesthetic has just changed a little bit. And I sort of talked about this in the last episode, but sort of, you know, going off of this idea of like simple, beautiful, useful has really been sort of guiding my knitting and my dyeing. And I think that's where I'm headed right now. So I want to do repeatable colorways. And so I've been sort of using that bare yarn to kind of come up with some repeatable colorways in a palette that I really enjoy. So I'm going to show you guys the first 3 that I've dyed up. None of these are quite dry yet. So again, the colors will kind of shift around in it. And again, the lighting is horrendous. So awesome. I have another couple skeins that I dyed up this morning that are cooling down. So I can't really show you those, but I'll kind of show you guys this kind of stuff as it comes along and as, you know, more decisions are made. But these are the first three colors, and I dyed these ones all yesterday because they all sort of have a very heavy red component to them, and so I wanted to dye them all like on the same day so that I only had to scrub out the pot that I use once to get like all the residual sort of dye out, because I figured with these ones, like if there was a little tinge of red in the water, like it was fine. So first one is this, which is a very, very bright orange, which if you've been watching Vlogmas, you might recognize this shade of orange. This is what I'm calling habanero orange, and I dyed it to match my new car. So I bought a new car in December after we moved here, and it is also called habanero orange, and it is the same, it's a little bit more complex than this, but it's this sort of insanely orange color. So that's the first color that I dyed up, is habanero orange. And then the second one is what I'm calling shocking pink, and it's sort of, it's not like a hot pink, like it's not a neon pink, but it is very pink. So yeah, that one I'm calling shocking pink, and it's just a very, very pink, but it's like, other than like how pink it is, like it's not crazy, it's just very pink. And then the third one, so the last one I dyed up yesterday, is this one, and this is sort of the most wet of them, so I'm assuming this will lighten up a little bit more as it dries, but this is my mauve. And again, it's not showing up quite as well on camera as I would like it to. It's a little bit, that's a little bit more true to life. It's showing up a little bit yellow because of the lighting, but it's sort of a darker mauve kind of color, and I'm really pleased with this one as well. So yeah, I'm really sort of aiming towards semi-solids, colors that are just really usable, right? Like colors that are sort of complex a little bit, but like are at the same time very simple, very well done colors, and just very usable colors, like colors that you could put with other colors and you could like do cool things with that, colors that will be really good on their own, colors that will be good for showing off like patterning. So that's sort of what I'm shooting for right now. And again, we'll talk more about that as things move along on that. But that's been the dyeing. So yeah, I'm going to take a quick break because I feel like my voice is getting a little bit scratchy because I've been talking for a little while, and I'm going to go grab a drink of water, and then I'll be right back and we will talk a little bit about knit-alongs and what's going to be happening with knit-alongs in 2019. All right, got my liquid. So let's talk knit-alongs. By the way, if you are watching this, to the winner of the the knit-along that ended October 31st, I still have not shipped out your prize because I'm an awful person. I will get it shipped out, but probably once I ship out the prize for the current knit-along, which I have not drawn a winner for yet because it is actually still December 31st when I'm recording this, so I don't want to close it down early. But thank you to everyone who was participating in the, I think it's the tradition knit-along that was going on through November and December, which I basically was not super good about like being in the threads or anything. I know that we got plenty of FOs, so thank you to everyone who participated. And yeah, the prize for that will basically be that the winner will be able to choose one of the skeins from this sort of new line that I'm dyeing up. You know, I will present them some names of different colorways, and they will be able to pick out of the 10 different colorways that I'm dyeing up, and I will ship out one of those skeins to them. So, but probably I will get in touch with that person before you guys see the next episode. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so what's happening with knit-alongs in 2019? So I've been doing the same sort of knit-along format. Oh my gosh, I just realized I passed my podcast anniversary at some point in December, and I don't remember when. Whoops. Anyway, so I've been doing this podcast for like 3 years now. And we've basically been doing the same format of knit-alongs this entire time, where sort of I lay out what the theme is going to be at the beginning of the year, and we have, 6 knit-alongs, each 2 months long throughout the entire year, and they're sort of, have these general themes, and the sort of the way that they've been themed has changed a little bit throughout the past couple of years, but I've sort of basically been following the same format, and I think it's time to mix it up a little bit, partly because I'm just a little bit bored with the format. Originally I really liked sort of the 2-month thing because you know, I was trying to chew through a whole bunch of sock projects my first year. And so it kind of helped to guide me on like, what am I going to knit when? But lately, I just have been feeling really uninspired to take part in my own knit-alongs. And that's probably not a good sign, especially for those of you who've maybe been around for quite a while. Like, maybe you're feeling the same way, maybe not, but I just feel like it's time to mix things up a little bit. So I don't know what the knit-alongs for this year are going to be. I feel like I'm going to try and be a little bit more spontaneous about it and sort of just, you know what we're feeling, we'll do that. And maybe, you know, we'll do knit-alongs for specific patterns that come out. Maybe we'll do knit-alongs for specific designers. You know, I don't know. I don't really know. But I'm just going to be a little bit more sort of free-spirited about it and see what happens. So I am going to announce our first knit-along for 2019. I'm not exactly sure how long this one's going to run. My guess is probably at least the first 3 months or so. Maybe we'll make it longer. Like maybe we'll make it last the whole year and I'll just draw prizes a couple times during the year. I don't know. But my first knit-along for 2019 is going to be the Stripe-a-thon. And this is because I have recently fallen in love with just knitting striped things, whether it's using self-striping yarn or like doing manual striping. I just have really been enjoying stripes. And so that's what we're going to do as our first knit-along for 2019. So the same sort of rules as usual apply. You know, your finished object has to be at least 50 grams worth of yarn, and you can combine things to make that happen. Any category is fine. Any weight of yarn is fine. You can crochet things as well. You could even weave things, I guess. Like that really is a place where weaving would make sense. Or even like spinning. Like if you spin a self-striping yarn, you could submit that as a finished object. You don't necessarily have to knit it up. But yeah, so it's going to be the Stripe-a-thon. So again, stripes can be in the form of self-striping yarn. They can be in the form of, you know, cutting the yarn basically and doing stripes. A lot of scrappy projects kind of fall in line with stripes. Like basically stripes just means that you have clear distinctions between different colors of yarn. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a repeating pattern. Like if you're doing scrappy socks where you're doing, you know, 10 rows of different yarns, that's fine. So yeah, like let's do that. And I think that'll be fun. It sort of is still pretty broad, but it's a little bit more focused, and it's something that I've been enjoying lately. So yeah, 2019 Stripe-a-thon. And if you guys have any ideas for knit-alongs you'd maybe like to see, let me know, because I am totally open to suggestions, because I don't really have a lot of ideas right now on what I want. I just know that I want them to be a little bit more fun. And the trash truck just pulled up, so that's cool. Oh, maybe they're going down the road a little ways, so maybe I can try and wrap this up before they come back. I think they kind of go down and do some other dumpsters and then come back and do the dumpster, which is right outside of our place. But yeah, so that's that. That's the knit-along stuff. Hopefully that made sense. And again, I will try and get the threads opened up with, you know, the rules written out, so that if I didn't make sense, that will. And I will, if I get that done before, no. I'm going to commit future me to this. I will get that done before this podcast goes live, and they will be linked in the links below. Thanks. Anyway, so let's do a quick question of the week, which I didn't have one before, and then I came up with one as I was talking. So my question of the week is, what would be your desert island yarn base, right? Like if you could only knit with one base for the rest of your life, like let's say one base of a particular weight of yarn, right? So one base for worsted weight, or one base for sock weight, right? Whatever it is that you normally knit with. What base would it be? You can either, like, you know, feel free to be as vague or specific as you prefer. Like I said, I basically think if I had to pick one particular base from one particular manufacturer, it would be the Knit Picks Felici. But if I were a little bit more general than that, I would probably pick a 75/25 merino nylon in a sock weight, because I like BFL, but I find that BFL is a little bit too scratchy usually for me to wear around my neck, especially since I've now knitted a few shawls out of BFL bases. It's like I love BFL, but I also, like, my skin is sensitive to how scratchy BFL is. So like if I had to pick something that's a good multi-purpose yarn and good for gifting, I'd pick a 75/25 merino nylon. So what's yours? What and if you maybe do have something more specific, like a particular dyer whose base you really love, let me know that because I'm curious about it. But yeah, that's the question of the week. What is your desert island yarn base that if you could only knit or dye on that for the rest of your life, what would it be? But yeah, that's going to be kind of it for the knitting content. So if that's all you were here for, thanks very much for watching. And thank you for coming back after such a long break of podcasts. And I will see you guys again, hopefully next week. I'm going to try and make these more weekly. The trash truck is coming back. Oh no. But I actually am not really going to do much for chit chat because, well, at the beginning I kind of caught you guys up. And again, like I said, I did Vlogmas through this December. So kind of most of like what's been going on in my life happened in Vlogmas. So I'm not going to bore anyone with what was going on. And yeah, I'll keep things short. That'll make it easy for me to edit and it'll make it a little bit easier to watch. So thank you very much. And I'll be back again, hopefully next week. And I'll see you guys then. And the trash truck is here, so it's going to start making noise. So I'm going to get the heck out of here. All right. Thanks for watching. See you guys again next time. Bye.